Ladies and gentlemen, for a session sponsored by Cvent, please welcome Senior Vice President of Hospitality Cloud, Bharet Malhotra, in discussion with Skift founder and CEO, Rafat Ali.
So thank you, everyone. Thank you for being here. The day is just getting started. There's amazing speakers that are coming. For now, there are two brown people on stage, which is amazing. So Bharet, I'm the only person in my company that can actually say it
That is
properly.
correct. It's nice to hear it said correctly.
Yes, thank you for being here. So speaking of Indian, I'm very inspired by Cvent because Reggie and Chuck and David's story, I hope the rest of the world knows in more ways because it's just an amazing story of how Cvent was built.
Sure.
Now it's a multi-billion dollar company. You've been with the company how long now?
Almost 19 years, so almost since it started, yeah.
So you started from the start as
Yep.
well.
Mm-hmm.
You've grown there. Cvent, a lot of people know, a lot of people here in the room, I'm sure, have either bought tickets from it or have used it or use it in their business as well. You're on the other side, though. You're on the side that works with hotels and destinations to bring them on the platform. Explain what that is.
Yeah, so I'll just give what Cvent does in a couple sentences. So basically, it's a company we started 19 years ago, this month actually, where we decided to build products that help meeting planners manage and market their events, right? And there's a whole slew of products, whether it's mobile apps or checking in or badge printing or whatever it ends up being, that we built for the meeting planners. Now, we had all these meeting planners, and they would come to us and say, listen, I'm a meeting planner based in DC. I need to find a venue in Chicago or Hong Kong, but I don't have a way of doing that. And the lens of a meeting planner is different. They look for different things. They look for a room like this and AV and all sorts of different things. So we started about a decade ago, the supplier side of the network, which is what I run, and that's basically all the venues out there. And all these meeting planners over the last decade have sent roughly close to between $80 and $100 billion worth of meetings through the system. So there are two sides to our coin. It's a network effect of meeting planners, and we keep building products for them, and then you've obviously got the supply side, right? So where are they going to actually host these meetings? Hotels, venues like this, and whatnot.
Right. So the cost of acquisition for hotels, destinations, et cetera, is growing. There's a lot of people here from the hospitality industry that have a huge meetings business.
Yep.
How do you see the marketplace in terms of cost acquisition, and what are you doing?
Yeah, so I think there are a couple things. You know, the whole idea of meetings and events, it's kind of this big hidden secret. I think a lot of people don't know that the industry of meetings and events is close to 600 billion. It's like the biggest industry that's completely hidden. When we went public in 2013, and we'd go to Fidelity and all the big hedge funds and houses and everything, and we told them what our company did, they were in shock that we built a company that's so large around parties. And we're like, no, it's not really parties, it's conferences and conventions, and it's big business, and I don't think it was something that they could process. And it's kind of this hidden gem that's out there. And of course, we're very passionate about it. But the beauty about it, it's very profitable, right? It's an extremely profitable segment because you've obviously got all the catering revenue, AV revenue, there's so much ancillary revenue that comes along with it versus just the room revenue that you usually do. You also get that very frequently. And on our platform, I think one of the things that we've done, because our platform is commission-free, we don't charge commission on our platform, is it ends up becoming a very low cost of acquisition for a customer. So there are thousands of hotels globally that we have given hundreds of millions of dollars of business to. And I know it sounds weird to say and almost not believable, but for completely free, right? And the only way we make money, honestly, is if a hotel wants to get better placement, then they buy better placement. But that's it. But there's no concept of commission, and we don't charge commission on any of our products. So whether it's a $10,000 meeting or a multi-million-dollar meeting like this, if the venue's free, then they got it for free. And if the venue's paying because they want better placement, then they did that. But the overall cost of acquisition is under 1% if you actually, the take rate of what Cvent gets compared to the business that they're sending out there. So it's nominal compared to any channel that you call out there. Not to mention more profitable also.
Right. So bringing these venues inventory online, make real-time inventory. It's a battle that we've seen in hotel rooms 20 years ago. Expedia CEO is here, he can talk about that. We're seeing in the tours and activity space happening. So in every industry instead of the travel space, bringing live inventory online has been a challenge.
Correct.
What's the state of live inventory in the meeting space?
That's a great question, Rafat. So I think a few things. I think part of it is, obviously we hear about some of the discourse and the debate that happens between the OTAs and the cost of acquisition there and what commission you pay to the hotels and everything. So there's that. But I think that became a learning lesson for a lot of the supply side, a lot of the hotels and venues out there that they're very timid into going to this.
Cloud-based.
Yeah, again, and be like, hey, Cvent, we'd love to give you all of our inventory. And it's not so much the room inventory, it's obviously the meeting space inventory.
Right.
I think a dream would be the ability to book not a meeting of this size because it's fairly large, but if it's a 20, 30, 40 person meeting and it's fairly simplistic in nature, I'd love to be able to book it online with a credit card. You save the industry time, you save the industry money, you're not sending out 7, 8 RFPs and getting responses back for sometimes a $2,000 event or a $4,000 event. So
But what is holding that back?
I just think it's the fact that they're worried that the minute they do it, somebody will end up capitalizing and start going up on commissions and start tackling that segment that they own completely right now, right? So right now, if they own it completely, they get all the economics, and they're worried about that. So I think we have to make sure that there's some balance where they don't feel threatened, that we're actually sharing that, hey, there's a lot of increase in economics overall because you're not spending 8, 10, 20 hours of the industry's time just responding to a 12-person event, right? So I think that's the reason. Now, they're doing it on their websites. There's nobody able to aggregate it, but we're making inroads. I think a lot of the organizations, the hotels, they want to do it.
Right.
So we are making traction. But I think that the tricky part here, just like when we started the supplier network a decade ago, you have to get both sides of the equation working together.
Right.
You can't get one and then have all the planners ready to do it, but then there's no inventory, or vice versa.
How can planners help in terms of adoption of this?
In fact, I think planners and buyers and all these organizations, they're the very big proponents behind this. So imagine any big Fortune 500 company out there, or any company, frankly, that is putting pressure on the hotel that's right next to them because they do 20 meetings a year because that's the headquarter hotel, and say, listen, I don't want to have to send out an RFP or make a phone call. Can I just get a form or something simple that I can book the rooms and I can book the meeting space and I can choose my lunch?
My CFO's sitting there and he's nodding his head because this is all we think about in terms of our conferences and events and meetings.
Yeah, so that would be an amazing scenario to do. And then as that gets more embraced, I think you'll be able to upscale, meaning it was a 10-person event, then it goes to 40-person event, then it goes to 50-person, 100 people. So I think that will happen at some point. But planners are absolutely putting, I don't want to say pressure, but they've expressed their desire that they would love to move to this, obviously.
So Cvent obviously is working on tech and sort of all these new tech trends that are happening in the larger tech industry. You are a tech company. What are some of the technology that we as meeting organizers, hotel industry, as people who are selling this, can look forward to?
So there are a few things. It depends on what part of the ecosystem we're talking about. So, on the actual meeting, the logistics side of it, there's a lot of really cool stuff out there that is still in its very nascent stages. It works, it's there, it exists. It just hasn't been embraced yet. It hasn't been, I think, become mainstream. The whole idea of walking in and facial recognition knows that you're here. It's there, it exists today. It's not this driverless cars kind of thing that's going to come up 5, 10 years from now, mainstream.
Yeah, seriously, why can't I mean, from a conference perspective?
Yeah, it's out there. You've got all this, it's available. I mean, we have it on our phones now and everything, so it'd be great. You walk in, it knows you're registered, the badge is printed, it's all done, right? So that's one example. I think another one, we use this at our conference, and we love it. It's actually an amazing way to attribute the impact of this conference. So imagine we've got all these beacons everywhere. So we know through RFID, when you walk in, we have a full heat map of where in the conference you attended, where you walked, where you went out, which sessions you went to, how many lunches happened, all that sort of stuff, we've got that. So the goal of that is we're able to take that, we integrated with Salesforce, so we know exactly, okay, Rafat attended these sessions. We know he's a likely candidate to buy this, or we know that he had interest in this product or something like that. So the whole attribution gets much more, I think, quantitative. And this is something a lot of people don't know, but after your website, the highest generating ROI activity are trade shows and events. So we're in the business of not just making meeting planners more efficient.
Can you say that again and mention Skift Global Forum in it?
Yeah, the Skift Global Forum, it's the highest generating ROI event that you've got out there. But it is true. It's like, meeting face to face, and one can understand your website, but because of that, and we have to market that, we feel that lots of the organizers are actually increasing the volume of events that they're doing. Right? Because they're seeing, great, I am able to generate more ROI, and with the tracking, You're able to obviously take it and show your CFO, your CEO, listen, I was able to generate this much. Whereas before, it was a cost center.
Right.
The minute the economy goes down, they're like, okay, we should slow down our events and everything. And we don't think that's true at all, especially if it's your highest generating ROI activity beyond your website.
So quickly, what is your ask from the hotel industry?
I think it's, embracing on the group side, it's embracing more technology, not just Cvent, but in general. On the transient and leisure side, it's been done amazingly. On the group side, because of the nature, like you can't book this awesome event that you've put on just by a click and a credit card. That won't happen. But I think there are ways to obviously simplify the process, make it better, and we need to have both sides of the coin working. We did a study a while ago where the meeting planners, frankly, are embracing at a much faster rate technology and enhancements versus the supply side. So the more we can maintain that equilibrium, I think the better the ecosystem will end up being.
All right, thank you, Bharet.
Absolutely.
All right.
Thank you, guys.